Does it seem like you're the person that everybody seems to turn to even though you don't have any formal title or authority? This is a question that I've thought about a lot as a student. Hi, my name is Duncan Sanders, and today I want to talk about two main things: the type of power I naturally hold as a student, and how I plan to use what I've learned about leadership theory to grow as a leader in the design and fashion industries. So let's start with power. As a student, I don't hold any formal institutional authority, which means that my influence has to come from somewhere else. What I've realized is that I naturally draw from three main sources. The first is expert power, which Miller and Wall define as power derived from one's superior expertise in a specific field. In both graphic design and fashion, I've built up a knowledge base of skills and knowledge that people around me don't always have. And because of that, classmates will often come up to me for direction on creative projects. The second source of power I have is referent power, which Miller and Wall define as power given to someone because you want that person to like you. In group settings, people tend to follow my lead not because they have to, but because we've built genuine relationships with each other and have mutual respect for one another. The third main source of power for me is legitimate power, which is very uncommon, but it does happen. Miller and Wall define it as power derived from one's position of authority. And in group projects, sometimes if I'm assigned the group leader or if I happen to speak up and take the role, my word becomes infinitely greater in that scenario just because of how it was built around the leadership role. And what I found most interesting is that when I combine all three of these skills together, uh, work becomes a lot easier, communication flows a lot smoother and naturally, and people are able to follow you because they're not just tolerating a leader, they put their trust fully in you to make the right decisions for them. Now, understanding the kind of power that I have is one thing, but knowing how to lead effectively and grow intentionally is another. The leadership theory that resonates with me the most is situational leadership theory. Miller and Wall describe it as requiring leaders to examine task behavior, relationship behavior, and the readiness of their followers to select the most effective communication style to get their point across. So, in design and fashion, I've experienced this a lot firsthand because when you're working with somebody that's new to the space, you want to treat them almost like a coach. You want to be able to guide them to getting better versus people that are more experienced, you want to give a kind of backseat role where you're kind of splitting up the tasks with each other. But the main thing I want to work on is being more intentional about my shift between those two so that I can better help the people around me. Now, the second concept that connects here is transformational leadership, which Miller and Wall describe as uh, they describe transformational leaders as people who are able to articulate a vision to a organization and get people to or inspire people to make it a reality. So in creative fields, that skill's really everything because that is how businesses are made in art. Because people want to support it and make it a reality, they throw their money at it. And finally, Theory Rye, which Miller and Wald describe as the belief that employees are self-motivated and that two-way communication and motivation is essential to success. Um, so this is generally approached how I look at working with other creatives. Instead of assuming that people need to be managed and everything needs to be perfect to my standards, I've learned that like I need to trust them and their process more so that we can have more optimal and better results. And it also opens up much more honest and open-ended collaboration. So all in all, when you put these two concepts together, the mix of expert, referent, and legitimate power I carry as a student, and the framework that I've created with these leadership theories, I can see a clear path forward in graphic design and fashion. The goal for me has never been to have authority over others, but I just want to understand them enough to inspire them to be leaders just like me.